everybody doing tonight? Everybody got a drink in their hand? Alright, well that's a good start. Alright, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Nick, Josh's better looking, much younger brother. So how about this wedding, huh? Absolutely beautiful. You can't beat this backdrop. Although I must say, it pales in comparison to the bride. Emily, you look absolutely stunning. I'm not sure how Josh pulled this off, but it's pretty clear who married up here. I'd like to thank all of you for making the trip down for Josh and Emily's big day. We've got people from across the country, Kentucky, Ohio, Texas, Connecticut, and even Seattle. Where are you at, Jay? Jay and Kirsten over here traveled over 3,000 miles to be here today. Very impressive. And this week is the first chance I've gotten to meet Emily's family. I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure to get to know the Lloyds. I want to thank them for being so welcoming. They're just great people and a great family. And some of you may not know this, but Emily's father, Gus, actually hosts a very popular Catholic-based radio show on Sirius Radio. And now, before Josh proposed to Emily, he wanted to do the right thing. You know, he wanted to be a gentleman, so he knew he was going to have to sit down with Gus, man to man, look him in the eye, and ask for Emily's hand in marriage. So what did he do? He called into his radio show and asked on live air. Luckily, Gus was in a good mood that day. Well, Josh, I'll have to say, this April's been pretty good to you. After 14 long years, we watched the Cats cut down the nets in New Orleans and bring on number 8. And then we celebrated all night on Bourbon Street with the Big Blue Nation. And now you're marrying the love of your life. Not a bad month. And I just want to say it's an absolute honor to be your best man. I'm just glad your first 3 choices fell through. No, but seriously, when I got the call from Josh, my first thought is what an honor it would be, immediately followed by the terror of having to follow up his best man speech for my wedding. And if you haven't seen it, YouTube it. He absolutely crushed it. Appreciate it, bro. But that's all right. Being Josh's younger brother, I've been following him up my entire life. Now, to hear Josh tell it, he paved the way for me, and I've just been riding his coattails all along. When I got to high school, everybody was going to know that I was the younger brother of Josh Lynch. Basketball star, baseball star, ladies man. And I'm not going to go into detail, but the only people that knew I was Josh Lynch's little brother were the Pikeville City Police. No, honestly, Josh was a great older brother, always looked after me, made sure I wasn't getting into trouble or doing anything I shouldn't. As an example, back in February of 1997, I was still just a pimply-faced freshman in high school at the time. And Josh was a freshman in college. So this is still back in his punk rock days, you know, he's still rocking his hoop earring. But anyway, my mom and sister were actually down here in Florida for a cheerleading competition. So my dad and I decided we were going to make the drive up to Lexington, a couple hours away, and spend some time with Josh over the weekend, meet him up there. So we get up there on Friday evening, have dinner with Josh, spend a little time with him, and then Josh and I decide we're going to go stay with our buddy Huff over at his place. Sorry, man. So Dad, of course, gives us his standard don't get arrested speech that we've heard 1,000 times, and we were on our way. So Huff's got a bunch of people over at his place, and we're having a good time, and at some point in the night, somebody has a bright idea that we should drive down to New Orleans for Mardi Gras for the weekend. Makes a lot of sense, right? So in the middle of the night, a couple carloads of us set out for Louisiana. So I figure we'll get to the edge of town, somebody will wise up, and we'll turn around and head back to the house. Well, I fell asleep pretty quickly, and I awoke to the Alabama sun beaming down on my face through the car window. So we get down to New Orleans on Saturday afternoon. We party all night on Bourbon Street, hand out a few beads. Okay, a lot of beads. Lots and lots of beads. And then we turn around and head back to Kentucky the next morning. And I had quite the epic story to tell my buddies in algebra class on Monday. And we got away with it. at least for a little while. But it didn't take long until pictures surfaced and Dad found out. But I'll have to say, Dad played it cool. You know, he didn't say anything to Mom. In other words, he knew Mom would kill him. And Mom never did find out, at least not until a couple years ago at a family dinner. And you should have seen the look on her face. Luckily for Josh and I, the statute of limitations had passed. But Dad wasn't so lucky. Sorry, Dad. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Josh is older than me. He's actually the oldest of us 3 siblings, but he's the last to get married. And there was a time when I wasn't sure Josh wanted to get married, but then along came Emily, and things changed. You could just tell by the way they looked at her that something was different, and who could blame him? She's sweet and beautiful, has a great personality, and is just a lot of fun to be around. The only flaws that I can find are her taste in men and her allegiance to Ohio State. Easy, Buckeyes. Just kidding, just kidding. But they really do work so well together. Just a great couple. I think it's pretty clear that both Josh and Emily have found the one, and they're done. Coach Cal would be proud. Now, Josh, brother, there is one bit of marital advice I want to give you based on my experience. There's 3 little words you need to tell Emily every chance you get. And I know you know what I'm talking about, but as time goes on, you're going to find yourself saying it less and less. You just got to say it every chance you get. When you get off the phone, before you go to bed at night, before you go to work each day, just say those 3 little words. I know everybody here knows what I'm talking about, so say it with me. You're right, Emily. So Josh and Emily, I just want to say congratulations to both of you. So happy for you guys. And Emmy, you know, you're already part of the family, but now it's official, so welcome to the family. And so now I'd like to propose a toast. And as I mentioned earlier, Emily's father, Gus, hosts a radio program, and the name of that program is Seize the Day. And I think that's such a great message that applies to so many parts of life, including marriage. So in that same vein, I'd like to ask that everybody please raise their glasses. We'll make this short and sweet. To Josh and Emily, may they seize each and every day together. Cheers. Thank you, Nick. All right.